The odometer reads 28,000 miles. The seller tells you it's a one-owner car, garage kept, mostly highway driving to work and back. The number on the dash backs up every word out of his mouth. So you relax a little. You start thinking about the price, not the car. Here's what almost nobody tells you. That number on the dash isn't proof of anything. It's just a number a computer is displaying, and computers can be told to display whatever someone wants them to display. Odometer fraud used to mean somebody physically unscrewing a mechanical gauge and turning the dial back by hand. That still happens on older cars. But on modern vehicles with digital clusters, it's actually gotten easier, not harder. A cheap tool plugged into the car's diagnostic port for 20 minutes can roll back a digital odometer with almost no physical evidence left behind. No scratches, no mismatched screws, nothing you can see just by looking at the dashboard. And the money at stake is real. Federal estimates have put odometer fraud losses to used car buyers in the hundreds of millions of dollars every year. And that's before you count the buyers who never found out and just quietly paid for repairs they thought were premature on a car that was actually far more worn than the dash admitted. A car rolled back by 40 or 50,000 miles doesn't just cost you at resale, it costs you in real mechanical failures showing up way earlier than they should, on parts you assume still had plenty of life left in them. Digital odometers actually made this worse in one specific way that's worth understanding before we go through the checklist. On an old mechanical odometer, rolling back the number meant physically removing the dashboard cluster and manually turning tiny wheels. Slow, obvious if you knew what to look for, and it left tool marks. A digital cluster just displays whatever value is stored in its memory chip. Change the stored value, and the display updates instantly, cleanly, with zero physical evidence on the dashboard itself. That's exactly why every check in this video focuses on evidence outside the dashboard, paperwork, other computer modules, physical wear, because the dashboard number itself has become the easiest part of the car to fake and the hardest part to verify just by looking at it. So today, let's go through exactly how buyers and inspectors catch this, using signs that live outside the odometer itself. Because if someone's already tampered with the number on the dash is the last place you should be trusting. Let's start with the check almost nobody skips, but almost everyone does wrong, the vehicle history report. Pulling a CARFAX or AutoCheck is a good habit, but here's the part people miss. You're not just looking for a title brand or an accident. You're looking specifically for the odometer reading history. These reports log the mileage every single time it was recorded at an inspection. An oil change, a title transfer, a registration renewal. What you want to see is mileage that climbs steadily over time. What should stop you cold is any point where a later reading is lower than an earlier one, or where the mileage barely moves at all across a gap of a year or more. A car that supposedly did 4,000 miles in 14 months, driven by someone who says they commute to work daily, doesn't add up, and that kind of inconsistency is exactly the fingerprint a rollback leaves behind on paper, even when the physical car looks clean. Next, go straight to the door jamb and under the hood, because this is where sellers almost never think to check for evidence, and it's often the single easiest catch available to you. Look for oil change stickers, the small round or rectangular stickers a shop puts on the inside edge of the driver's door, or sometimes on the upper corner of the windshield, recording the mileage and date of the last service. Independent shops and dealerships do this constantly, and most owners never bother to peel them off. If you find a sticker from 8 months ago showing 1,000 miles, and the odometer today reads 58,000, you don't need anything else. That's documented proof, not a guess. Check the glove box too. Service records, inspection paperwork, even old parking permits with dates on them can all cross-reference against the number on the dash. Here's a check that's specific to modern cars, and very few private buyers know it exists. Mileage isn't only stored in the instrument cluster. It's also stored separately inside other computer modules. The engine control unit, the transmission control module, Sometimes the airbag control module too. A basic rollback tool that a shady seller uses is built to change the number the driver sees on the dashboard. It's often not sophisticated enough to also reach into every other module in the car and update all of those separately. This means a mechanic, or you, with a mid-range OBD2 diagnostic scanner that supports multi-module readouts, can sometimes pull mileage data from these other modules and compare it against what the dashboard is showing. If the transmission module says 74,000 miles and the dashboard says 31,000, that's not a computer glitch. That's a car that's been tampered with, caught by a system the tamperer forgot even existed. Now let's talk about something you can check with zero tools at all: physical wear. A car's mileage should roughly match how worn its high-touch surfaces are, and this is genuinely hard to fake convincingly. Sit in the driver's seat and look at the pedal pads. The rubber on the brake and gas pedals wears down and develops a shiny, smoothed-out texture with real use. A 30,000-mile car with pedal pads worn as smooth as glass, edges rounded off, rubber compressed and thin, is telling you a different story than the dashboard is. Check the driver's seat bolster too. The side of the seat you brush against getting in and out, real wear there, shows as fading, creasing, or fabric thinning specifically on that one side, not evenly across the whole seat. And look at the steering wheel, especially at the 9 and 3 o'clock hand positions. Shine, smoothness, or leather that's gone slightly slick from thousands of hours of grip is very hard to replicate artificially without it looking obviously different from the rest of the wheel. Tires are another strong physical clue, with one important caveat you need to know before you use it. Most tires are rated for somewhere between 25 and 50,000 miles, depending on the tire type and how the car was driven. So if a seller tells you the car has 18,000 miles on it, and you're looking at tires worn down close to the wear bars, that's a real inconsistency worth asking about directly. The caveat: tires get replaced during a car's life all the time for completely normal reasons, so worn tires alone don't prove anything. And brand new tires on a high mileage car don't prove fraud either. Plenty of honest sellers replace tires before selling specifically to make the car more appealing. Use this as one data point among several, never as your only proof. And always ask directly when you buy, do you have a receipt for these tires, and when were they put on? While you're under the hood, check the timing belt or serpentine belt if it's visible and accessible, along with hose condition and general grime buildup around the engine bay. A genuinely low mileage engine bay tends to look comparatively clean, with belts that still have flexibility and sharp-edged ribbing. An engine bay that's caked in old grime, with belts that are cracked, glazed, or brittle, is showing you the wear pattern of a much higher mileage vehicle, no matter what the cluster says. One more piece of the puzzle, and this one's federal law, not just a buying tip. Whenever a car changes ownership in the United States, the seller is legally required to complete a written odometer disclosure statement as part of the title transfer. Federal law requires this specifically to fight rollback fraud. If a private seller is cagey about signing this, avoids the paperwork, or the number they write down doesn't match what's on the dashboard in front of you, that's not a paperwork technicality you can politely ignore. Walk away. A seller with nothing to hide fills this out without hesitation, because it's a normal, required part of any legitimate, used car sale. There's one more source of evidence that costs nothing and takes about 5 minutes. Search for the car's old online listings. Copy a few distinctive details, the VIN if it was included, or the exact trim, color, and any visible damage or aftermarket parts, and search for them along with the seller's city. It's increasingly common for a car to have been listed for sale before, sometimes months or years earlier, sometimes by a dealer who later sold it at auction. If you find an old listing showing 62,000 miles 18 months ago, and today's listing says 55,000, you've just caught the exact same rollback pattern the vehicle history report is designed to catch. Except this time, from a source the seller has no control over deleting. Before we go further, if you're finding this useful, go ahead and subscribe now, Every video this week is covering one more red flag most buyers walk right past, from hidden accident damage to the exact words to use when a dealer says the price is final. If you're actually shopping for a car right now, this is exactly the kind of thing worth having in your feed before you're standing in front of one. Let's put this together into a routine you can actually run in the driveway. Pull the vehicle history report and check the odometer reading log specifically, not just the accident history. Check the door jamb and glove box for service stickers and paperwork with mileage and dates on them. If you have access to an OBD2 scanner that reads multiple modules, compare the mileage across them. Check the pedals, seat bolster, and steering wheel for wear that matches or contradicts the number on the dash. Look at tire wear as a supporting clue, not a standalone verdict. And never, under any circumstances, accept a sale where the federal odometer disclosure statement is skipped, vague, or doesn't match what you're looking at. If you do catch a mismatch, here's what actually matters. Don't try to negotiate around it like it's just another flaw to knock a little money off the price. Odometer fraud is a federal crime, not a haggling chip. If you already own a car and discover after the fact that the mileage was rolled back, you can report it to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and, in many states, pursue damages through consumer protection law. Some states allow for triple damages specifically because odometer fraud is treated so seriously. But by far the better outcome is catching it before you ever hand over money, which is exactly what this checklist is built to do. It's also worth knowing who tends to do this, because it changes how you should react in the moment. Sometimes it's the current seller directly, but very often the rollback happened further back in the car's history, at a small independent lot, or during a flip between a wholesaler and a dealer, and the person selling it to you genuinely believes the mileage is accurate because it's what their own paperwork says. That doesn't make the car any safer to buy, but it does mean a calm, direct question is usually more productive than an accusation. Something as simple as I noticed the service sticker on the door shows a different mileage than the odometer. Can you help me understand that? Often gets you real information fast, and how someone reacts to that question tells you almost as much as the answer itself. Here's the bigger picture worth sitting with for a second. An odometer rollback doesn't just mean you overpaid. It means every single maintenance interval you're planning around, when the timing belt is due, when the transmission fluid needs changing, when you'd normally expect brake work, is calculated off a number that's a lie. You could be driving a car that's genuinely due for a major service right now, while your own dashboard is telling you that you've got another 20 or 30,000 miles of runway. That's not a paperwork problem. That's a real mechanical risk sitting quietly under the hood. This is exactly the kind of thing that's easy to miss when you're excited about a car, standing in a driveway, wanting the deal to work out. It's a lot harder to miss when you've got a specific list in your hand and you already know exactly where to look before you ever say yes. That's why I built all of this. Every red flag in this series, the full odometer verification checklist, the word-for-word disclosure questions to ask a seller, and the complete negotiation scripts into the ultimate used car buying kit. It's the same guide I mentioned in the last video, and it covers 8 major ways a great deal turns into a costly mistake, flood damage and odometer fraud being just 2 of them. It's built from data and standards referenced by NHTSA, CARFAX, Edmunds, JD. Power and consumer reports laid out so you can pull it up on your phone standing right next to the car, or print the checklists and bring them with you on a clipboard. Links in the description and pinned in the comments below. If you already grabbed it after the last video, this entire routine is already sitting in there for you. Chapter 9 covers everything we just walked through, plus a few extra verification steps we didn't have time to fit into 15 minutes. There's always another car for sale. There's only one number on the dashboard that's actually telling you the truth about it. And now you know how to check. I'll see you in the next video, where we're breaking down the 8 deal breakers that mean you should walk away from a sale immediately, no matter how good the price looks.